Welcome at home with Stacy Encourage, where you will find me busy creating clean products, preserving, planning delicious, nutritious meals for my friends and family. Lard is one of my favorite bases to work with. It is creamy on the skin, inexpensive, and it makes such a wonderful soap. I absolutely love it. Before you start making your lye solution, which is distilled water and lye, make sure that you have your nose is covered, your eyes is covered, your hands is covered, as well as your fingers. Goggles, mask, as well as gloves is important in this step. And once you add your lye to your distilled water, make sure and mix everything nice and slow. You don't want to be moving around during this step. I'm going to take the temperature of my lye solution and I'll show you how hot this has gotten. 140 degrees. This is hot, so be careful. I am adding some sugar, and sugar helps boost lather. It also helps speed up the hardening process. Don't add too much because it will cause your soap to overheat. Here I'm adding some silk, my favorite, and I love adding everything in this step because my lye solution is nice and hot. That way everything dissolves and I don't have to worry about little pieces in my soap. I am setting my lye solution aside in a safe spot and I'm going to work on my butters and my oils, my favorite part. So as you know, I am using lard and this is about 2 pounds of lard. This I paid $8 for this, so inexpensive, but it works well and it's perfect for making winter soap. I love it. Do you see how creamy that is? And this is one of my favorite bases to work with, the price and the creaminess. I went ahead and removed everything just to make life easier. I am also using coconut. Coconut is also one of my base that I enjoy using as well. It can be a little bit drying on the skin during the winter, so I do have a coconut soap in the summer and it works so much better. So just remove your coconut. Of course, I'm using a scale. Work in a well ventilated area as well. I'm just using a double boiler method and I'm going to pop this on the stove and let this melt. Now for our additives. I am adding clay. Clay helps detox the skin, so it's really beneficial in soap. I'm not adding too much. I'm also adding my oats. Of course, we know oatmeal helps moisturize the skin, so these are all amazing additives. And last but not least, coconut milk. Coconut milk helps with the creaminess of the soap as well as the lather. I'm giving everything a nice mix and I'm going to of course pop this into my oil mixture once everything is nicely melted. You know I like my little titanium dioxide. I like the creaminess that it gives to the soap or the creamy look that it gives to the soap. You know I'm a Dove girl. And I'm just mixing my titanium dioxide with some oil. You can also use water. Now I have some calendula that has been infusing in some olive oil for about a year now. I don't have any use for it, so why not use it in my soap? Even more beneficial nutrients for my skin and just a lot of healthy properties for skin overall. So you could of course put your oil in with your butters, but I like doing mine in this step. Give everything a nice mix and we are getting ready to pour our additives in there. Now I will advise that you blend your additives and your oil in this step. Very important. That way you remove all of the lumps and anything in there. I am also adding some sodium lactate and this also help with hardening of the soap. Of course, your fragrance oil. We are going to add this once we start blending because fragrance oil can speed up trace, meaning get your soap harder before time. Our lard is looking good and our oil mixture is looking good. I like combining things when they are closer to room temperature as possible, and I find that works for me. Give everything a nice mix. Now, this soap took a while to come to trace because there was not a lot of sugars and sweetness in this soap. Even when I added my lye solution, it took me a while, which I didn't mind, but it took a while to come to trace. But nonetheless, we kept blending, we kept mixing, and eventually everything came to trace. I always wait for the last minute to add my fragrance oil because, as I mentioned before, it tends to speed up trace, and sometimes everything is just not blended properly, and then you have a whole big mess on your hand. So I always add this last and just take some time. As I said, it took a while to come up to trace, but we are getting there. Slowly but surely, you can see the texture has changed, light little trace. And now we're going to pour everything in our mold. Of course, make sure that you spray your mold with a little bit of alcohol before you add your soap and just give it a nice wipe. And we are just knocking to make sure there's no air bubble in there. And I love soap making. It is very relaxing for me. It's one of my favorite things that I do. I'm adding these to some molds. And yeah, I love this process of soap making. It is, as I said, I enjoy making soap. Um, and I try to make soap at least twice a year. Of course, remember to knock anything that you pour into, give a good knock. Now, I keep my things very simple, very nice, very elegant. So I just take a spoon and I just go side to side to side. That's just my signature look. I don't have to worry about anything when I do it like this. And it's so wonderful. It looks beautiful. Love it. And this soap usually lasts my family about a year and a half to 2 years. And I usually make soap twice a year. So I still have soap even though I'm making soap. It never runs out. I don't have a problem with soap. And as you can see, everything has firmed up nicely. I'm going to cover these and let them come up to a gel phase. And I'll cut them within 24 hours or the next day. And as you can see, these are coming out so easily, no problem at all. Nothing got stuck. I'm also using my mold pattern and it is slipping out so easily. And this is a detail mold. As you can see, everything looks wonderful. If you don't have a cutter like I do, you can use a knife or you can use a soap cutter. But as I mentioned before, I used to sell soap, so I have some of these gadgets. And this soap is going to oxidize quite a bit and get a bit darker. You know, that could happen based on some of the chemicals reaction in the soap, but it works amazing. And again, this is another process that I enjoy cutting my soap. I love also enjoy this process of soap making. I think the only process I don't enjoy in soap making is the lye solution, but everything else I love. And here you see me using that gadget to show you how you don't need this fancy machine to cut your soap. You can use anything you have on hand. And I'm cutting these into 1 inch pieces, some of them 1.5 inch. But this is just a demonstration, and look at how beautiful this is. Of course, you want to cure your soap for about 6 to 8 weeks. And thanks for watching At Home with Stacy and Courage. I will see you in the kitchen in a bit. Talk to you later. Bye.